Hey folks, I am Kevin Iole. Welcome to Yahoo Sports UFC 280 on Saturday, October 22nd in Abu Dhabi. My next guest is a world champion. I'm sure you know him, but it's my first time getting to introduce him as the pound for pound #1 fighter in the world, Alex Volkanovski. Volk, how are you, my friend?
I'm very good, mate. I'm very good. So
That must
yeah,
sound pretty good to
appreciate that,
hear,
mate.
huh?
It is. You know what I mean? It's it doesn't make me any different. You know what I mean? I'm still the same guy I was, but it does sound cool. You know what I mean? It sounds cool, and obviously I'm honored to have that as well. But I mean, at the same time, it ain't getting to my head. You know what I mean? So, which is a
No
good
doubt.
thing. You know what I mean? The last thing we want to do is think that we're too cool for school, you know that saying, you know what I mean? And again, like which I'm not. I'm still the same guy I was. I'm always going to be the guy that's hungry to do what he needs to do. So I won't let it get to my head.
Your streak has just been incredible, over 20 wins in a row. What you've done has been amazing. And the reason I'm talking to you this week is you've been making a lot of noise about wanting to fight for the lightweight title. A little controversy, so I want to get you to clear this up. You tweeted out that you are going to be the backup fighter for the fantastic lightweight championship fight next week between Charles Oliveira and Islam-Makhachev. Beneil Dariush then came out and said he thought he was the backup fighter. He's fighting Matus Gamrot. So from your standpoint, what do you know about that?
Oh well, yeah, I don't know where from his point, but I mean, I am the backup fighter. Like I know I am. Like I'm flying my corner. Like we got our flights. We got everything we need to. You know what I mean? So everything's already happening. So I'm getting paid to jump on that scale. So it's pretty clear that I'm obviously the backup. I'm not. I'm sure maybe he did get told that by someone. Maybe the person that told him that did get told that before they knew I was locked in. You know what I mean? And they just haven't had that conversation. But I think he should just worry about Gamrot. Gamrot's no joke. He's obviously a big fight for him, and hopefully he's not overlooking him. Like I like Dariush, I'm not sitting here going, you can't, I mean, like obviously I'm putting myself in this position so no one else takes it away from me.
Right.
But again, it's just, I've got nothing against the guy, but yeah, I'm the backup guy, and it's as simple as that.
Okay. That's how I thought it was, but I just wanted to hear it from you. Let's start with this. This is a weird thing. You mentioned you're getting paid to make weight, right? I think most fans would hope you're not getting paid to fight, right? Because they want to see you fight after a full training camp and everybody prepare for you, and that nothing happens between Charles and Islam. But first of all, how does that work pay wise? I mean, do you get a set sum like if you make weight and then a bigger sum if you fight, or how does that work?
Oh, obviously, if you fight, it's going to be a normal contract, right? But I mean, there's a chance of that fight not happening. So, for me, this is a commitment. You know what I mean? Like when I told them I wanted to do this, a lot of people, because I just announced it a couple of days ago, they feel like I'm just all of a sudden training now. But I mean, I've been training. I'm the type of guy that, if I've got, I've been saying that I wanted to do this. So I had that in my head. So I was training since then. I was training as if I could be back up even when I was in the cask. I was on the bike, I was on the watt bike, I was on the salt bikes. I was doing strength and conditioning. I was making sure that I was still still doing enough to get me in a decent enough position to do a camp as soon as I can. So again, that's just how I am. I'm disciplined. I'm professional. That's the type of guy I am. So it wasn't locked in then, but I always had the idea. I told him I was going to do it, and be like, "Oh, you will see." And then we started getting closer and closer, and I was letting them know. And then they said they wanted the clearance. I got the doctor to give me a clearance. That was like over a month ago. So I've been training for, I think I got that clearance like 6 weeks ago. I would have got the clearance as in telling them that I'll be okay for
Contact and whatnot.
Yeah, for a fight. You know what I mean? By that time, obviously, I was pretty much just got out of a cast in, but the doctor said, a couple of weeks, I'll be happy enough with your bone. You could go full contact. But I mean, you'll definitely be cleared by then. So I told them, I've been able to punch as hard as I wanted with this hand for about 4 weeks now. So I've been doing the work. You know what I mean? Again, and even when I couldn't punch with this, I was still doing everything else.
Yeah, that's why I think you're the best in the world, because of what you do between fights. But
I can't use my left hand. Can't use my left hand. I'll use my right. It's that simple. Excuse my French. Sorry.
It seems pretty logical when you put it that way. Yeah, I guess the one thing, broken bone or whatever is you shouldn't have any long-term issues with it. But do you feel it the day after you punch, since you've taken the cast off?
Oh, like, it gets a little tender here and there, but I mean that's fine. Like, to be honest, both of my thumbs are pretty tender anyway, so it's not a big deal. Like, I've broke this same, not this one. This is the first time I broke that hand, but I broke the exact same one twice on this hand. So I've had 3 of the same surgeries.
So
so I know how it is, and like, obviously, yeah, it's when you haven't moved it for so long, it takes a while. It stays stiff. It's a lot of scar tissue and all that gets uncomfortable. But as long as I'm able to train, I'm happy. I don't care about the pain. If someone tells me you're not doing any damage, I don't care how much it hurts.
So are you one of the fighters that, make specific game plans for different opponents, or do you just kind of, get yourself ready and let them adjust to you? Because you're in that funny spot. Like, what do? Do you come up with 2 game plans? So how does that work for you as you're doing this backup thing?
Man, like, it's funny because a lot of people will be like, wow, you know what I mean? Like, how are you going to do that? It's like, I'm doing it every day. Like, you know what I mean? Every day I'm like, Joe's on pads, and then I'm working a strategy. I'm working a game plan, and I'm even getting training partners mid-round while we're sparring, changing the looks from an Islam look to a Charles look. And I can just do it on the fly. That's just how I am, man. Like, I've proved that in my fights that I can make adjustments, especially right now with the understanding that I have of the game. And you know what I mean? Again, my coaches have done such a great job to give me the understanding of this game and my style and all that, where now, like, it's, it's like, you say, it's, reading people like a book. I read them like a picture book, you know what I mean? Like, I don't even have to read it out loud. I can just see it, and that's it. It's that's just how it is for me. Like, they do this, all right, this is my go-to. This is, because again, my style covers a lot of ground. I know where I need to be. I know where I shouldn't be all the time. If you're a southpaw, if you're orthodox, I know this stuff so well that you do this, you do a certain look in front of me, I'm just going to adapt and know where I need to be and where I shouldn't be. Obviously, with Islam, you're going to be worried about wrestling. So I'm going to need to do a couple of other things. With Charles, there's a certain style that he does on his feet. He's orthodox, he's a little more upright. There's a few other things. But I mean, again, straight away, I know, all right, when he does that, because he does this, he leaves these openings. I just know this sort of stuff. And, being able to just drill it and game plan in the gym, just, it's just, obviously that adds to it. But I mean, if they were to surprise me on the day, I would adapt anyway. But I mean, we're lucky enough to have a good team around us that are working good game plans, and we're ready to capitalize on some of these things that these guys do if need be.
I know you love the sport and you watch, you often tweet during the fights and everything. So you're a good person to ask, notwithstanding the fact that you're training for both of these guys. How do you break the fight down? I mean, Charles has that striking that, some people suspect that Islam doesn't have. And I think that maybe that's a bias because Islam got knocked out once a few years ago. Obviously, Islam has that unbelievable wrestling. And, he said to me today, nobody beats Dagestani wrestlers, right? So how do you break down that match between them? What are Charles's advantages and what are Islam's advantages?
I don't think Charles would be that scared of him on the ground, which is probably a really good thing for Charles. I do believe Islam controls Charles, though. I think, the wrestling will be the factor. But the fact that, Charles will invite him going to the ground and try and wrap things up as he's going to the ground. He ain't going to be so scared, I need to get away, and then put himself in positions where, Islam can climb him and then just control him and have him on the bottom and keep him so jammed that he can't move. I think, as he's taking him down, he's the type of guy to jump on, submissions, jump on his back to pull guard, which is where he's going to be dangerous. I guarantee you, this here's a good example. If Charles falls to the mat and he's on his back ready to pull guard, I don't know if Islam goes in there.
Really?
I don't know if Islam's going to approach the ground that way. I think he would rather Charles get up, grab a hold of Charles and bring him down. So when he goes him down, he's in control of the legs, the hips, controlling all that type of stuff. So he can't throw up all these, won't even give him a chance to throw up crazy stuff. So that's where I believe is like, that's sort of what I'm trying to go with. I think that Islam, once he grabs a hold of him, he will have the control. But I mean, I know that Charles is the type of guy, the fact that he's not scared, he will throw as soon as he grabs a hold of him, he will fall back, be happy to fall on his back to wrap guillotines, to go for triangles, to attack the legs. And I think that's going to be a little more stressful for Islam. Islam grabs a leg, climbs him, brings him down, different story. So, again, so that's what makes it very interesting. Because the fact that he will swing, and that because Charles will swing and won't be that scared, I think he's going to be a little bit more effective on the feet because he goes, all right, you want to jump in? I'm jumping for some crazy shit, and I'm going to try to get you submitted anyway. So I'm throwing 100%. If I land, good. If I don't, I'll try and get that submission. I think that is where Charles can be very dangerous for someone like Islam. But if Islam grabs a hold of him, I feel like Islam will be able to control him and see that round out.
What impact do you think it'll have, Alex? The fact that Charles has been, able to get himself out of so many bad situations, kind of like you did against Ortega. You did it at the end of the fight, but you think of Charles against Dustin Poirier. He turned the fight around. Gaethje, he did that. Even Tony Ferguson had him deep in that armbar, and he got out and came back and won that fight. Does that put something as a fighter? When you know that about a guy, does that put something in your head, and does that affect the way you approach him?
No, I look at it a bit more technically than that. Like, there's a lot more details to that.
Right.
A lot of people see that, like, oh, he got hurt, and then he get hit, he'll go to his back, and then he could settle, be like, yeah, come on. And a lot of the guys will be like, I ain't having any piece of that, you know what I mean? And then, like, give him time to recover. But again, I look at that like, you have which it's very exciting. You watch that fight, like, you had these guys dropping each other. That's because they like to stand in front and bang, but that's not me. I'm the type of guy that I want to hit you and not give you a chance to hit me. Right. So I don't see myself in them situations. I ain't just going to go there and swing and I might land and you might land. That's not how I roll. I will land when not give you a chance at the same time. You know what I mean? That's how I play. So I don't see myself that way. I do think he showed that he can get through adversity. But again, I look at it a bit more technically where, I would approach things a little bit different than a lot of people. So if I have someone in that type of adversity, I'm not going to put myself in the dangerous. To be honest, with someone like Charles, if I go in and he pulls guard, you can guarantee that I'm going to go there. I'm going to punch his head through the canvas. You know what I mean? Like, like I did with Ortega. I might not be as careless as I was with Ortega, but I mean, I'll definitely, I ain't going to be that scared of it. I'll have an MMA approach to how I approach. If I have Charles hurt, like, I definitely can see myself capitalizing on that and doing something about it without taking too many risks.
Very quickly, I've taken up enough of your time. So one last question. Israel Adesanya and Alex Pereira are fighting November 12th in New York. Any early looks at how Israel's looking in camp, preparing for a guy that's been a tough opponent for him, beat him once or beat him twice and knocked him out once?
I haven't been at City. So I've been at Freestyle the whole time. So I haven't been past there. So I haven't seen, but I mean, I've been talking to the boys and he's on. He's always on, but I mean, he's on. I think there's definitely some fire there. You know what I mean? He's very excited for this one, which is obviously, we've given him this whole new hunger. I think the hunger's always there. The work was always put in there, but now it's not just doing the work. It's, while I'm doing the work, making sure I perform and making sure I'm, I am sticking to my guns, not give, you know what I mean? Like it's there's that little bit of more fire there. Yeah, so he's doing the work. He's always done the work, but now there's that little bit more. It's like he's not happy with just, again, we put ourselves through a lot. Our training camps aren't easy at all. Yeah. But I mean, the fact that he is getting through that and having that extra touch of like, I need to get this guy. I'm going to fix this bloke up. You know what I mean? So I think the boys are saying he is looking incredible, and they can see that he is. He's on. He is on at the moment. So I'm looking forward to this. And, I can see Izzy looking really, really good in this one. So I can't wait. Awesome. The pound for pound best fighter in the world, Alex Volkanovski. He is the backup fighter for UFC 280. We will see him, if not on the 22nd, somewhere soon after that. Alex, thanks so much, my friend. Thank you, man. Appreciate it.